Hurricane coverage continues on the Weather Channel.
Take a look at this. Transformers exploding in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, down by winds pushing in from Hurricane Francis.
And the intense flooding has already begun here in Lake Worth, Florida. This is all ahead of Hurricane Francis.
Storm alert continues this evening as we track Hurricane Francis and what is turning out to be a long-duration event. I'm Carl Parker.
And I'm KRISTINA ABERNATHY. Let's take a look at the radar, and you can see the center of circulation just lurking offshore, but the rain bands are already moving in. And with those rain bands, with not only the heavy rain, but also strong winds gusting at times 50, 60, 70, even 80 and 90 miles per hour.
And let's talk about the very latest stats on the storm. 105-mile-an-hour winds. That is a Category 2 hurricane. The pressure 962. It is now not moving at all, and that is very critical to the forecast. We think it will move only very slowly onshore within the next 24 hours, and that's going to mean an extended period of high wind and some tremendously heavy rain across the state of Florida.
Our meteorologists are spread out along Florida's coast. Hurricane expert Dr. Steve Lyons is here manning our expert desk. Stephanie Abrams is in New Smyrna Beach. Jeff Morrow is live in Orlando, and Jim Cantori is in Palm Bay. Let's start with Stephanie Abrams.
And Stephanie, what is the latest there, and how has the weather been? Has it been going downhill in the last couple of hours?
Oh, let me tell you, downhill is an understatement. This morning, things were okay, relatively speaking. We had winds sustained about 20 to 25 miles per hour, and at 3:10, that's when we checked our watches. That's when things really darkened up. The surf's been kicking up all day long, but the clouds haven't been that dark, and as we looked off to our east, they were basically black. What happened next? Very strong winds blew through the area, and we saw very heavy downpours. We actually had to grab our camera and our lights so that they didn't blow over, and we were all bracing ourselves. And it does look like this type of weather, this squally weather, will be continuing as Francis slowly tries to make its move. Very heavy rain falling up and down the east coast here. The camera angle that you are looking at now here in New Smyrna Beach, just over my shoulder, that is off to the east and also to the northeast. Earlier today, we just saw clouds like this off to our south, but obviously Francis is starting to make an impact on our area here, and we will continue to keep you guys updated through the evening hours. Now we'd like to head down the coast a little bit to my friend, meteorologist Jim Cantori in Palm Bay. How's it shaping up down there right now, Jim?
Oh, Stephanie, we got it. We got the wind. We got the wet weather. This is definitely the steadiest rain that we've seen so far. The stuff that we dealt with earlier has now moved inland, and it is only going to get worse. And that's what we want to tell everybody on the coastline. Remember, the eye is still offshore, the center of circulation. So as it drifts to the west, the conditions will continue to deteriorate tonight. This is no time to go back to your homes. Now, this morning, what we did was we took off. Light winds here, not much going on. Let's go see how much different it is 6 miles to our east of the beach. And this is what we saw. Meteorologist Jim Cantori, we have decided to leave Palm Bay, which is 6 miles inland, and take this amphibious vehicle to the coastline to see what a difference 6 miles can make. It's currently noon, and we have come across the bridge now. Winds easily gusting over 55 miles an hour. I can't even open my eyes because the rain is stinging my face. It is just 7 minutes after the hour of 12 o'clock, and we are in Indian Atlantic Beach, and what a difference. Winds sustained here well over tropical storm force, 50 miles an hour, occasionally gusting over 60 miles an hour. Very, very dark out over the Atlantic. Looks like more banding getting ready to come on in. And look at the ocean. It's just all white here, all foamy. Waves just coming in, and look at the beach erosion as well. Some of this sea foam coming all the way up here to the boardwalk and the sea oats. And that's another thing we're going to have to watch out for, too. We're going to have to watch out for water rise as this storm, now 90 miles offshore, makes its way even closer. As we come back to the mainland here, we have seen at least 24 boats that have broken loose from their moorings. This sailboat here all the way now to the coast, banging up against the rocks and the dock, just taking a tremendous beating here. And we haven't even gotten into the worst of this thing. And I just talked to a gentleman who returned from that beach just a few minutes ago, and he says, Jim, it's a lot worse now. 75 to 85 mile-per-hour winds and structural damage starting to come in as well. We'll get more as I talk to him a little bit later on. Right now, let's bring in Dr. Steve Lyons, our hurricane expert. And Steve, again, the center's still offshore. Give me a little bit of a timeline for this. Are we talking about a strengthening system here as it moves on in, or is what we're dealing with right now the worst of it?
Well, it looks like it could strengthen a little bit before it moves in, Jim, but we don't expect any rapid development. That's good news, and the time frame for this eye to pass the coast is about 24 hours. But keep in mind, the western eye wall is going to come on shore way before the official landfall point. Now, the center of circulation is right there, and you can see that's basically north of West Palm Beach, and we think it's going to move ever so slightly north of west. So the landfall point is probably going to be somewhere between Vero Beach and Palm Beach within 24 hours. Down in Miami, the worst is in this band right here and any other band like it. Some strong winds there, but the eye wall is not going to hit you directly, just the pressing bands, and it's going to proceed up toward the west-northwest. Vero Beach, Melbourne, and down toward Palm Beach will have the worst of it, including the worst beach erosion along the coastline. Now, let's look for a second at Charlie. That was Charlie on the west coast that we just had. Very powerful Category 4. This is Francis with a very large circulation. Difference is rather dramatic, and so we're going to have widespread damage across Florida. Not tremendous, but enough to cause significant power outages and minor structural damage near the coastline where it makes landfall. Carl, Christina.
Steve, thank you very much. We'll have more live reports from our team of meteorologists throughout the night.
And we'll continue to bring you more new pictures as the winds intensify and Hurricane Francis continues to beat on Florida's east coast. This is video in from Lake Worth, Florida.
And there's your radar. Again, the storm slowly coming on shore the next 24 hours. We've already had reports of winds to
We're looking at video from Riviera Beach, Florida, which is just to the north of Boynton Beach area, and we are dealing with very strong waves kicking up on the shore as Hurricane Francis nears, and with this, strong winds in the area gusting anywhere, reports this afternoon, of 60 to up to 90 mile-per-hour winds beating on the shore here, and we are going to just expect that to get worse. Right now, Hurricane Francis is stationary, but we do expect it to begin slowly moving this afternoon and into this evening, and our extended coverage continues through the evening into the overnight hours.
And here is the very latest on the storm. The wind's 105 miles an hour. That is a Category 2 hurricane. It is not moving at this point, but we do think it will gradually begin to work on shore over the next 24 hours. More specifically, western eye wall beginning to press towards the West Palm Beach area. Some of those stronger bands now up around the Melbourne area. Those could produce wind gusts to 65 to 75 miles an hour. And we already have had reports of damage in that area with that rain band. The weather is only going to get worse along the East Coast as we go through the night tonight, and there's a look at some of the damage that we have already seen across that area.
Fort Pierce has had a building collapse into the water. In Martin County, a car dealership has collapsed. In Vero Beach, we've had a number of mobile homes with the roofs removed and a number of trees down as well.
We received a reminder today about just how dangerous debris can be in hurricane-force winds. A piece of styrofoam hit WPLG's reporter Judy Chavez.
And while styrofoam doesn't seem dangerous, it can be if it's flying at about 80 miles per hour.
These are the 2 ice packs that
Well, it's important to listen to warnings when officials tell you to stay indoors during such powerful weather events, and we'll have more information on that coming up a little later on.
Meteorologist Jeff Morrow is live right now in Orlando, Florida.
And having already dealt with Hurricane Charlie, are people more on edge with this system?
Well, Carl and Christina, yeah, they are. They're very anxious about this hurricane as it comes on in. Of course, Charlie hitting here just as you said a few weeks ago. And, of course, there's still just literally tons and tons and tons of debris still lining some of the residential streets here. A lot of tree limbs and logs and cut up trees that are just sitting there waiting to get picked up. They just literally can't get to all of that. And with all this wind expected to come in here late tonight, and now it's getting pushed back a little bit more tomorrow, a lot of folks are saying, already. All right, come on, bring this in already. Let's get it out of here so we can clean up and get on with things. But this one is just kind of agonizingly slow out there at the present time. Now, I have my hood up. We had a little rain come through here, not a really bad squall. We've had several squalls during the course of the day today. Just to tell you where we are on Orange Street. Behind me is the city of Orlando. I don't know how well you can see it down there, but Orange Street below me is virtually uninhabited. There are no cars on it, and there is going to be a curfew tonight between 9 and 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I want to show you the rainfall total as in this area. We've had a fair amount, up over 35 inches of rain, and we're over 5 inches above average, and it looks like we're going to be getting tons more, a lot, maybe up to 6 to 12 more inches as this hurricane comes in. If it's a slow mover, that's just more problems. Carl and Christina, we'll keep you updated here from Orlando as Francis approaches.
And Jeff, is there not still debris on the ground from the cleanup after Hurricane Charlie in Orlando?
Oh, yeah, they just can't, literally, they can't get to all of it, Carl. It's just piled up in many residential areas, just waiting for somebody to pick it up. They've got to a lot of it. A lot of it is still here, and that's what makes it dangerous if the winds pick up.
Jeff Morrow, thank you very much for that report.
Well, I want to give you another update on what's going on with Hurricane Francis, and the storm still stationary and still pounding the southeast coast of Florida. It's still packing winds of 105 miles per hour, and its pressure 962 millibars. We are looking at the projected path, which is going to eventually take it into Florida. We think sometime, hopefully during the overnight hours, we will see it move. As soon as we can see it moving, the sooner we'll get rid of it, and we think that sometime tonight or into tomorrow morning, we will see it making landfall.
Some of those outer rain bands are now making their way into the east coast of Florida. We have had reports of 65 to 75 mile an hour wind within the last couple of hours. Many reports of damage. Kmart building in Fort Pierce, apparently a portion of the roof has been blown off. Power poles along State Route 81A near South Patrick Housing have toppled or were leaning heavily. Many reports of damage to windows and glass doors have been reported. So a lot of wind already coming on board, and we do expect to see much more as we go tonight and through the day tomorrow.
And we have much more to show you regarding Hurricane Francis and the impact it's already had on Florida.
We'll also show you how Francis has whopped the Bahamas, tearing the roof off this business in Nassau.
And again, we can see the rain bands moving in with these very strong winds, gusting 50, 60, up to 90 miles per hour. We're looking at video out of Riviera Beach, Florida, which is just north of West Palm Bay. Wind so strong that it destroyed the canopy over the gas station here. And it's no wonder, with winds in the area gusting up to 60, 70, and some reports of even 90 mile per hour winds. And we can expect more, unfortunately, in this area as Hurricane Francis continues to pound the area as it is more or less stationary.
The amazing thing about this storm is that it's a very big storm, moving very slowly, not really moving at all. So this event is going to last for a long, long time along the east coast of Florida and across the entire state through tomorrow. We want to turn now to our meteorologist, Stephanie Abrams, who has been on the scene all day today watching the situation in New Smyrna Beach. And Stephanie, I know the weather has gotten a lot worse there in the last few hours.
It has, Carl, and what we've seen is basically these squall lines, which is rolling through right now, on and off for the last couple of hours. Not a whole lot of rain right where we are, but back behind me, which is to the east, looking east-northeast, that's where very heavy showers are falling, and also off to our north, very heavy rain is falling through the area. The wind right now is blowing from the east as this storm system is south of us. The rain continues to move on in, and so do those winds. We're worried about flooding here. We're also worried about the threat of tornadoes. I know we've already seen several tornado warnings posted in Florida. We're concerned about that here as well, being on the north side of the system. So we're going to stay here all night. Check back with us a little bit later. Carl and Christina.
Stephanie, thank you very much for that. Let's go ahead and talk about what's happening with our storm right now as it continues to very, very slowly, if at all, move along towards the west. It has been reported as stationary within the last advisory, and we think those bands will continue to slowly work on shore. We have had reports of winds gusting to 70 to 100 miles an hour, Martin and St. Lucie counties, as well as Indian River County. Widespread destruction, mobile homes damage in that area, and there's going to be much more of that as we go through the night tonight.
Once Francis makes landfall, it's expected to Florida's Gulf Coast.
And ahead of that crisis, thousands of people are already evacuating to the Panhandle to get out of the way of a direct hit from Francis.
Meteorologist Mike Bettis is live right now in Shell Point, Florida. And Mike, now that there is a tropical storm watch for the Panhandle, are folks getting geared up?
Oh, you better believe they are. We had a warning extended to St. Mark's, which is just east of here, and then from St. Mark's all the way to Panama City, we have a tropical storm watch, so that has gotten people's attention. And those are areas that are more resort areas, Panama City and St. George Island, so you better believe that they are anxiously watching this storm. And now that we have our watch and we have our warning, there is a lot of activity where we are right now. People are taking action. A lot of activity in the streets today. People are at the grocery store. They're stocking up on everything they can. Bread, very hard to come by. The water is going very quickly, and even though the storm may not hit until Monday, residents are taking no chances and they're getting ready now.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for the storm, loading up on a lot of canned goods and stuff.
I'm stocked up on water and canned goods already, so I'm just grabbing a couple things, getting out of here.
Can I get you? And folks, really keeping an eye on this storm. And the last time we had a storm that hit in Shell Point back in 1966, and that was Hurricane Alma. So right now, a little bit more sense of urgency in the atmosphere here in Shell Point. Carl and Christina, that's the latest from here. Back to you.
Mike, thank you very much. Our storm alert coverage of Hurricane Francis continues after your local on the 8s.
And here are pictures in from West Palm Beach, Florida from this afternoon.
And you're looking at video from Riviera Beach, north of West Palm Beach, as powerful Hurricane Francis continues to edge on shore. We've had reports of wind gusts to 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, widespread damage, trees down, as you can see right there, widespread power outages, now about 500,000 people without power, and that situation is only going to get worse as we go through the night tonight and into tomorrow. Welcome back to our special coverage of Hurricane Francis. I'm Carl Parker.
And I'm Christina Abernathy. Something else we're dealing with this system is the potential for rainfall, not only in Florida, but as this system moves inland, we could see very heavy rain well into the deep south and into the northeast, looking like a very messy week, and the flooding could be widespread.
There's much more to come at the bottom of the hour. We'll have updated rainfall totals, a look ahead at who could see the flooding, and a look at some of the strongest wind gusts blowing in from the system.